We bless those children that are here and those yet to come. Yay. All right. So I read this week that you're getting older when friends with benefits means someone who can drive at night for you. Yeah. And then the biggest joke on mankind is that, listen to this, the biggest joke on mankind is that computers have begun asking humans to prove that they aren't a robot. A robot, yeah. Okay. Well, the majority of people think that great spiritual faith is necessary to get marvelous results. You just have big faith, deep faith, a lot of faith, all of that. But Jesus taught differently. He taught differently. In our series studying the parables of Jesus, we're finding that the little stories that he told were really directions for how to activate the miraculous and the infinite potential within us, right? Activate that potential within us so that we too, as he said, could do great works, that we could do great works. And this is certainly true of our parable today. It's the parable of the mustard seed, which is one of the most popular. I think most of you growing up have heard that story. Let me remind us of it here. It's found in Matthew chapter 13, verses 31 and 32. It's not a long one. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make their nests in its branches. A little bit later on in Matthew, the disciples asked Jesus to increase their faith, and he said to them, "If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, 'Go from here to there,' and it would obey you, and nothing would be impossible for you." So he's just commanding us and telling us the power that God, the Spirit of God within us is capable of. Metaphysically in unity, as we look at a spiritual interpretation, Jesus in his parables talks a lot about seeds. And the seed is the potential, the seed potential within you. It's the seed idea. It's a seed thought, a seed idea. And it's sown in a field, and that field is our consciousness. It's sown in the field. An idea drops in, and then it's planted and sown and nurtured in the field of our consciousness. Seeds grow things into something, right? Into something. And they're the link that connects all of our potential with the invisible world and the physical world. They're that little link that dives deep into the invisible and brings out something into the material realm. The birds of the air that make the nests in it are interesting because birds symbolize inspirational thought, high and holy thought. And when they come and make a nest, birds nest to give birth, to feel safe in places, to feel secure. I looked all that up, safety and security for the nest. But they make their nests in our thought, so that as we're cultivating and developing greater and greater thought, there's a higher inspirational thought that comes in to nest there, to rest there, to be present there. Jesus' comparison to the tiny mustard seed to really big results indicates that it's just a tiny bit of real faith that's necessary to substantially change our life and circumstances. I don't know why the word heavy lifting is into me lately, but it's like, let God do all the heavy lifting. We want to, as Abraham Hicks says in her work, we want to put our rowboat in the water, in the stream, and then turn it upstream and begin paddling madly to make things happen. When she says, if you just let go of the oars, the boat will right itself, and you'll carry you downstream. And everything you want is downstream. Everything you want is in the current and the flow of spirit. So why battle against it or try to put your own plan into the path of the roaring waters, right? Jesus tells us the kingdom is like a seed growing into a tree. He doesn't say the kingdom is that the kingdom was like a seed or like a tree. He said that it's like a tree in the process of growing. The seed is something that expands and grows. And how does a tree grow? How does a tree grow? Its roots dive down deep into the earth They split repeatedly, don't they? And they extend even more deeply. They grow and grow and grow. Over and over, the splitting occurs until there are millions of cells that make an actual plant. Above ground, the branches also split and grow into more branches. And using this example, Jesus gives us a picture of how expansion and growth occur in us, in consciousness. That a seed thought is planted, and then it has the ability to repeat and to split and to grow rapidly. He's telling us how the human mind can actually influence the way matter and energy behave. He's giving us his quantum energy, his understanding of quantum. I marvel when I read his teachings and then I do a study for an interpretation, and how we see how enlightened he was, how much time in sacred worship that he spent that revealed to him the understanding of the universe, the understanding of our Creator and how we were created. Using the example of the mustard seed, he gives us a picture of expansion and growth in consciousness, telling us how the human mind can actually influence the way matter and energy behave. He's telling us that a seed thought multiplies itself by dividing rapidly. And the power within it is infinite, he said. The power within your potential is infinite, right? Infinite. And we don't know every way that it's going to branch and grow. Like the mustard seed, the thoughts in our consciousness blossom and they grow into branches that extend outward into infinite possibilities. Now, it helps me to visualize this branching neural network stuff by thinking of fireworks, and I have a picture of that. You can imagine the fireworks that shoot up into the sky, and this is the neural network in your mind. You can see the comparison. The fireworks are a light that shoots up into the sky, and then it explodes. It explodes into more streams of light, and those split 2 or 3 more times. And do you remember every holiday how they now do fabulous things with fireworks, and they just cascade, and cascade, right? This is how our thoughts grow and split and branch. And the human brain, that consists of 100 billion neurons and over 100 trillion synaptic connections. There are more neurons in a single human brain than stars in the Milky Way. Inside your head, right now. One single brain cell may have connections with hundreds of branches from hundreds of other brain cells. So you can see in the visual, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. One of Unity's basic fundamental teachings, that when that seed thought drops in, if you give it your attention and interest, as our opening prayer said, when we give our attention, interest, and support to the enduring good, we are feasting on the things of spirit. And that's what's growing in the neural network of your mind. In Switch on Your Brain, the book, The Key to Peak Happiness, Thinking, and Health, Dr. Carolyn Leaf writes, "Our mind is active 24 hours a day." Thank God. Right? We are thinking, she says, our mind is active, we are choosing, we are building, we are sorting thoughts. And our brain is in a constant high energy activity even when we're resting, right? You're asleep and your brain is helping your lungs to breathe, your heart to beat, your eyes to blink, all of that. Dr. Leaf's study shows when we move into directed rest, which is what Charles Fillmore called the silence, when we move into that meditative state, when we move into prayer, directed rest, when we do that, we enhance and increase the effectiveness of the activity in the non-conscious mind, right? When we move into directed rest, when we move into the silence, we enhance and increase the effectiveness of the activity in the invisible parts of us. In the silence, next slide, in the silence, we appear to slow down, but actually our mental resources speed up. And as we focus inward, we literally switch off to switch on. When we pray, when we meditate, when we catch our thoughts, when we memorize or quote scripture, when we memorize poetry, when we use our minds in that creativity of life, we accelerate and improve our brain function as well as improving the health of our body and our spirit. What's it say up here? This is kind of a picture that I found that's kind of, okay, here's your brain and it's organizing everything. But when you meditate, it just all infinite potential is possible. When you pray, it just kind of expands into the infinite. In the silence, we appear to slow down, but our mental resources speed up. It's like there's wings of, who's that little runner in mythology? Not Athena, Mercury. It's like Mercury arrives in the brain and just takes off with winged potential. Winged potential. In the silence, there is still constant chatter between the networks in the brain. And our brain is actively growing more branches, integrating and linking thoughts. So we move into, in that directed rest, we move into a highly intelligent, self-reflective, directed state where we become linked to positive emotions. Positive emotions. PET scans and EEG recordings show that portions of the brain that produce happiness and peace bulk up. Bulk up when you're in that meditative, directed rest state. You know, and sometimes I always remember mowing the lawn. The hum of the lawnmower, I'd be pushing the thing, and I was in this altered state of consciousness. There was a hum, it was like white noise, but you know, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was smelling the grass, and I don't have any allergies, so that's all good. You know, I smell the grass, and I could just be in that moment. And in those kinds of moments, our brain is bulking up those positive thoughts of peace and happiness. And all of that translates into increased intelligence and wisdom and a wonderful feeling of peace. And the more time we spend in the silence, the more we touch that deep spiritual part of who we are. As over and over, as I've shared with you, Charles Fillmore would walk around in the house and then just stop and be in a moment of silence. It doesn't have to be a half-hour meditation, an hour, all day, 8 hours, or sitting in a cave for 40 years. Just allow that unlimited wisdom of spirit to flood your system, to come, whether it's pouring into you or pouring out of you. God is immanent and transcendent, omnidirectional, whatever works for you. Allow that spirit to move in and through you. And when you do that, God also throws in some additional benefits, such as increased immune and cardiovascular health. So you're just improving every part of what you were created in. You are marvelously, amazingly made in the image and likeness of Spirit. And when you allow Spirit, when you recognize the Spirit in you, you're just increasing everything. You're releasing potential that is just all good. Directed rest, the silence, is from really the wisdom of Psalm 46, verse 10. Be still and know that I am God. Right? When I first connected the idea of this scripture, be still and know that I am God, I recognized that I grew up at 4610 Palomino Lane. My address was 4610, be still and know. You know, and it was great. And back then there wasn't so much suburb, so I grew up across the street from horses grazing. Palomino Lane had palominos grazing. And so it was all nature was out there. As a child at 7 and 8 years old, you could go across the street, feed the horses, just wait for the school bus to pick me up because I was bused to school. All of that. Be still and know that I am God. You could also think of Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Right? Be not conformed to what's going on out here, but be transformed by the constant renewing of your mind. I heard a nutritionist speak a few years back, and she pointed out that she was talking about health and nutrition and weight loss and all of that. And she pointed out, if you want to slim down, she said, you stand the best chance of success if you change one simple, easy habit in your life. And she used the example of most people at 4 o'clock have that low blood sugar drop, and they come home and they're starving, and you could eat everything in the cupboards and the refrigerators, right? Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. Right, yeah. So she says, how about you choose a healthy snack, something that you absolutely love, that's absolutely healthy, and you put it in the car and eat it on the drive home. One simple change that will help regulate that blood sugar and all that craving and all of that. She says that's what you work with. And then that healthy thought, that seed thought, planting the idea of better fitness, better health, better weight management, that idea will begin to bulk up in you, because you'll get home and you'll think, you'll have some appetite control. You get home and you think, I don't have to do this. I'm not as hungry. I can wait and make a beautiful dinner, a healthy dinner, whatever it is. You build a neural network of loving yourself. And then you let the birds of the air come, the inspirational thoughts land and nest there for you, and build that into healthy choices, and let those thoughts branch out and bulk up. It's an amazing process that the Spirit of God has given us in our own physiology, in our own biology. You build a neural network of loving and supporting yourself and letting those thoughts branch out. Instead of I'm starving, those thoughts will begin to weaken and drop off. Even your hunger will begin to weaken and drop off, right? I shared with my class 50 Days to a Better Life. I shared with them that at the new year I wanted to get back to my regular workout routine. And so in loving myself, I wanted to make sure that I got to the gym. And so when I get home at night, I'm not at my highest energy point. So I thought, okay, one small change, I'll lay out my workout clothes. So when I come home, it's just easy to see them there, which is a little intimidating. And then I can just change quickly and get across the street. I live across the street from the gym. It is literally a 5-minute walk from my front door to be on the elliptical machine. It may only be 4 minutes. I'm not sure. I've timed it because I'm just that anal. But so laying my clothes out was a small, easy change that wasn't working. It wasn't working. I could blow past that with the best of them. So I changed it to here's where my real resistance was. It's dark outside. It's been rainy, cold winters. It looks like it could storm. I could walk the 5 minutes across the street, or have a wonderful workout, come out and be pouring down rain that I'd have to walk back in. Plus it's dark, I walk alone, there is a busy street, but I got that I wasn't feeling safe. That was one of my inhibitions about going over there. So my easy, simple change, as embarrassing as it is, was to give myself permission to drive to the gym across the street. And I can get in my car and back out and cross the street and park and go in and have a great workout. I told myself, just for the winter months, right? But I'm doing it. I feel so much safer and so much drier, and not worrying about, we're not worrying about the weather or if I get rained on, but mostly the safety issue of it, because when I come out of the gym, I have to walk through a dark parking lot, blah, blah, blah. So I gave myself permission to drive to the gym, and I haven't missed a day. Haven't missed a day. So all of that to say, when Jesus gives the parable of the mustard seed, he's saying the tiniest seed thought within you can branch into a wonderful outcome, a big outcome, a real reality of something that you want. Dark, cold, rainy, you can get rid of all of that, blah, blah, blah. My seed thought was to love myself enough and then bulk up with thoughts about how good it feels after the workout. And then I read on my Kindle when I'm on the elliptical, because I can make the font really big. And so I found the kind of book you can't put down, but I only let myself read it on the elliptical. Another small change, right? So I have to get over there to find out what's happening in this story of this book. And I feel good after the workout, and I'm so glad to be there, and I feel safe getting there. And all those thoughts, can you see? They're bulking up, which is encouraging me to a successful outcome. All my thoughts of reluctance and resistance have weakened, and are beginning to die out. I can't fight against them anymore because I have a perfect way to get there and have a wonderful workout. Are you following along with me today? Where you get a seed thought of love for yourself, and then you bulk that up with additional thoughts, and then the birds of the air come and nest in that and nurture that and sit on that until you birth even more branches and more branches. Last story, I had a friend who described himself as a drinker, a smoker, and 65 pounds overweight. So we got to reframe that thing. But anyway, but he caught a thought about loving himself more. And so he made a decision to start walking every night for 45 minutes after dinner, rain or shine. And initially, he did drop a few pounds. He thought he could get into better shape. He dropped a few pounds, but he said mostly he enjoyed the walk, breathing the air, the stress relief that it brought. And he said he just rather enjoyed it and the mental stress relief that it offered. So he kept doing it. And in about 6 or 7 months, as he kept walking, all of a sudden, he lost his desire to smoke, and he just quit. Never picked up another cigarette. So again, you can see now this loving myself, helping myself is branching into even more and better opportunities to honor the spirit within. He lost his desire to smoke and he gave it up. At 1 year, he started eating all organic. He still drank, but only wine. He gave up hard alcohol. So you can see him making this progress of the spirit within him, honoring what he's doing, supporting what he's doing, nesting and branching and increasing all of his thoughts. At about 18 months, the 65 pounds were gone. His diet was healthy. He was smoke-free. He drank less, and he continued to walk his 45 minutes every night. I was with him. We were at a retreat or a unity conference, and it was really raining kind of significantly, and he handed me an umbrella and said, "Here, we're walking. 45 minutes, rain or shine." Did I miss? Yeah, build a neural network of love. Thoughts of love branch out and bulk up. Negative thoughts weaken and drop off. There's no repetition in the network. And so this is not that your brain's outside of you, but this is kind of how you're loving yourself and cooperating with the Spirit of God within you. With repeated and directed attention toward a desired change, we will have the ability to strengthen the pathways that expand the love of who we are and the love in our consciousness, that expand the love of the Christ Spirit that indwells us. Any thoughts toward well-being can branch into infinite possibilities. Some outcomes you can imagine. Driving to the gym, I'm getting there, I'm getting more fit. But other outcomes we can't even imagine, because God's ways are infinite and miraculous. And you can step into that flow of that Spirit of God and just allow yourself, to love everything. When my friend started walking, it was to treat himself better. But that loving seed thought branched into weight loss, healthy eating, no more smoking, less drinking. New seed thoughts carve out new pathways, and repetition and practice allow them to split rapidly and to multiply and to strengthen the new pathways, while the old pathways get used less, and so they drop off and die out. The mustard seed comparison shows the capacity of an apparently small thought of truth to develop in consciousness until it becomes a repository place for high and holy thought. High and holy thought, which makes all the difference in our lives. Every decision we make, every intention we set, has an infinite number of possibilities for fulfillment. Every one of our decisions is a split point that births an infinity of possibilities. And God has given us a very beautiful and divine and easy way to cooperate with creating a world of our own choosing, a life of our own choosing, a life where we co-create the circumstances of our life and the outcomes of our lives. This week, as we said in the opening, it's both Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day on Wednesday, February 14th. And to celebrate Lent, I want to invite you to choose to release something negative, to fast from grudges, to fast from worry, to fast from criticism, and let them weaken in that neural pathway and die out, right? And for Valentine's Day, choose a seed thought of love. How can I love others more? How can I love myself more? How can I serve and love and give to my community? And let that grow in your consciousness and branch out as acceptance and faith and service and forgiveness. Let love bulk up in you. The mustard seed story shows the capacity of the seemingly small thought of truth to just rapidly multiply, divide, and branch. So that, the part of the lesson is, so what are you allowing yourself to give your attention to your thought to? This week we want to let love bulk up in us. Let's see what that says, Jesse. What's next here? Oh, this is our affirmation. There's a neural network, and there's all the little sparks I love going out from you, the invisible radiance of the Spirit of God. Let's affirm together, I'm bulking up with love. Hands on your heart. Together, I'm bulking up with love. And so it is. God bless you. God bless you. Let's take that into a time of prayer, that idea where you can feast from anything negative, fast from anything negative, and feast on the enduring love and substance of the Spirit of God within you. As we said in the opening, when we think about our nation and our world, Georgiana Tree West said, one of the most valuable ways of observing the Lenten season is to fast from the belief that men or nations can stand in the way of God's goodwill for man. Now is the time to affirm the power of the Christ Spirit indwelling all people everywhere and influencing their thoughts, words, and actions to work for the good of the whole. So take a few moments to move into that directed rest, what Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, called the silence. Take a deep breath and let your mind, your attention, drop from your forehead down into your heart. Just be open and receptive to the Spirit of God. And loving presence. We acknowledge and give thanks of how wondrously we are made. Every part and parcel of who we are is a reflection of your beauty, your magnificence, your wholeness. And as we think about our lives, I invite each of you to think of something in your life as we move into the Lenten season you'd like to release. A grudge, some resentment, critical thinking, a hurt. And choose a seed thought, a potential outcome that would bless you and everyone involved. A seed thought of love. If there's ill health, a seed thought of life in all its magnificence. If there's inharmony somewhere, a seed thought of peace, acceptance, forgiveness. If it's a too busy lifestyle, a seed thought of relaxation, comfort. And then in the quiet of these few moments, let that thought multiply for your life. What does it mean to be loving, to love yourself? How can you bulk up that thought of love? Is it a phone call to someone? The gentle touch of the hand next to the person you're sitting with? Is it cheering for your favorite team that causes happiness to bulk up? In the Gospel of Mark, it says, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And so let your mind and heart flow in the idea of goodness. Those thoughts are infused with the infinite power of Spirit, the almighty power of Spirit. And from Spirit's fullness we have all received grace upon grace. And take one final Passover of that idea of love in you that you've now planted, that will be percolating all week. Infused with love on a special day, Valentine's Day, where more of the world recognizes love, kindness, support, encouragement. And in our prayer, we see that for ourselves, for our loved ones, for our nation, for our world. And we affirm, I am bulking up with love. I am bulking up with love. Let's affirm it. I am bulking up with love. And then see your loved ones in your mind's eye. We call to mind all the names of those who have asked for prayer from this ministry. Each one of you sitting here today, all those who are part of our community, all of the Auburn community. And we speak a word. You are bulking up with love. Together. You are bulking up with love. And let that vibration radiate out from you like musical notes on a stringed instrument. Just let it radiate out. Feel it. Give thanks for it. Jesus responded to the disciples, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, go from here to there, and it will go, and nothing will be impossible for you. And living in the truth of that word now, we give thanks in the name and the nature of the one who said, Father, I thank you that you hear me, and that you hear me always. And so it is. Together we all say, Amen.